has done wonders for growing the sport of mixed martial arts. However, he's certainly regarded as one of the more opinionated people in the sport. Dana is great to have on your side, but if you piss him off, you better watch out. Here's our list of our favorite times Dana got furious. Anderson Silva versus Demian Maia. Back in 2010, Anderson Silva defended his middleweight title against Demian Maia in the main event of UFC 112. Maia entered the fight at 12-1 as a professional, but most were skeptical about if he had much of a chance of dethroning the middleweight king. Silva, who was in the midst of his legendary title reign, decided to toy and talk trash with Maia for the majority of the fight, in what turned out to be one of the worst title bouts in UFC history. Dana White was massively critical of Silva's performance, and the UFC president tore into him in the post-fight press conference.
I don't think I've ever been more embarrassed in the 10 years of being in this business. And it's the first time that I've ever walked out on a main event and given the belt to the guy's manager and told him to put it on him. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do right now. I'm so upset, I can't even tell you. I don't think I've ever been like this in the history of being in this business.
The Cyborg video. Chris Cyborg's departure from the UFC last year was far from graceful. Following her win with Felicia Spencer at UFC 240, Cyborg campaigned for a rematch with Amanda Nunes. But UFC president Dana White kept insisting that Cyborg was lying and didn't actually want to fight Nunes again.
I think that she's at the point where she's afraid to lose again.
Cyborg and White had a short conversation backstage following her win, which was recorded by members of her team. When the video was released, it was soon discovered that a member of Cyborg's team changed the subtitles to make it seem like Dana White was being disingenuous. When the truth came out, White was furious.
Dealing with her has been a nightmare the entire time she's been here. What she did was dirty. Dirty what she did with the video and all this other stuff. And then meanwhile, she's running around saying she better get an apology from me. She won't take the fight. But the answer is yes. My job is to take that. She won't do a one-fight deal. She will not fight Amanda Nunes.
Greg Jackson. John Jones was expected to take on Dan Henderson in the main event of UFC 151, but just 8 days before the fight, Henderson was forced to pull out due to a knee injury. The UFC tried to book middleweight title challenger Chael Sonnen as a late replacement to fight Jones, but Jones and his coach Greg Jackson decided that it wasn't the best idea to take the fight on such short notice, and declined to fight Sonnen. This decision enraged Dana White, who was forced to cancel the entire event as a result. Following the event's cancellation, White held a conference call to explain the situation to the media, where he tore into Jones and Jackson's decision to cancel the fight.
I'm very confused by his whole business plan. I don't give a shit what Greg Jackson thinks. Guy's a fucking weirdo, man. Are you kidding me? Turning down a fight, saying if he turns down a fight with Chael Sonnen, it'd be the biggest mistake. I mean, if he takes a fight with Chael Sonnen, it'd be the biggest mistake of his entire career because he's not ready for that guy. Greg Jackson should never be interviewed by anybody ever again except for a psychiatrist.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Steve Mazzagatti. Steve Mazzagatti has had his fair share of refereeing blunders over the years, and no one has been more critical of these mistakes than the UFC president Dana White. However, it was a World Series of fighting between John Fitch and Joshua Berkman in 2013 that sent White over the edge. Berkman caught Fitch in a guillotine early in the first round, but didn't appear to have the choke sunk in too deep until he rolled Fitch's unconscious body off of him. Berkman was already celebrating before Steve Mazzagatti even stepped in to stop the fight, which inspired an epic 9-minute rant by the UFC president.
Does anybody here disagree with me that Mazzagatti is a fucking toolbox? If you ever watch Mazzagatti ref a fight, he fucking stands there like this. He's doing his fucking grocery list, thinking about did he TiVo his favorite show? I don't know what the this guy's doing. Or sometimes he'll go like this and start looking like this when they're not even doing anything. When they're doing he's not in there when he's supposed to be in there. The guy shouldn't even be watching MMA on television, let alone reffing it.
Mario Yamasaki. Another referee that has seen criticism from both the MMA community and Dana White himself is Mario Yamasaki. Yamasaki was working Valentina Shevchenko's 2018 fight with Priscilla Cachoeira at UFC Fight Night 125. Shevchenko was a massive favorite in this bout, and when the bell sounded, it was clear why, as she dominated her opponent in every way. As the fight continued, it became obvious that Yamasaki should stop the fight, but he allowed it to continue until after Shevchenko was able to sink in a rear naked choke at the end of the second round. After the fight, Dana White tore into Yamasaki for not stopping it sooner, going as far as to say he never wants to see him reffing at a UFC fight ever again.
I think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting. I think he's disgusting, and I never want to see him reffing ever again. No, you moron. You're in there to protect her from herself. He makes me sick. That guy has no business reffing fights, and I promise you, you're not going to see him again.
Jake Rawson. In 2009, Dana White made the bold proclamation that MMA will be the biggest sport in the world by 2020. This claim brought some criticism from journalists and the MMA community, many of whom believed that White himself was the reason this wouldn't be the case. One journalist in particular, Jake Rawson of SureDog.com, wrote an article basically rebuting White's argument. In response, Dana White delivered one of his finest rants on the phone with SureDog.
Like, I give a what Jake Rawson thinks. What the has this guy ever done to move the sport of MMA forward? Are these motherfuckers into mixed martial arts? He argues about how big the sport will be? That's what he does? What a douchebag. So basically, what he just tells me is, Jake Rawson, what he likes to do is, he likes to write bullshit stories, smashing MMA and MMA writers, so that you, the fans, will go on there and talk about him for a long time. Typical, douchebag reporter. Jake Rawson, go yourself.
You don't scare me, internet. In 2012, the UFC website was hacked by the infamous group of hackers known as Anonymous after the UFC voiced support over anti-piracy bills. The hackers replaced the normal UFC webpage with a picture of Adolf Hitler until the promotion regained control of their website. Many fans were worried that vital information may have been leaked, but one person who said he was not scared was President Dana White.
What I'm saying is, I'm not afraid of you. You don't scare me. You come in and you do it again. I don't care. You don't scare me, internet.
In fact, he was so confident in the site's security that he challenged the hackers to attack the site again.
Keep hacking our site. Do it again. Do it tonight.
They took him up on that, hacking the site yet again, and this time releasing White's personal information in the process. Elite XC, Heat. In 2008, undefeated internet sensation Kimbo Slice was set to take on UFC legend Ken Shamrock at Elite XC Heat. Unfortunately, Shamrock suffered a cut before the event and was forced to pull out, leaving the 3-0 Kimbo without an opponent. Elite XC promoters turned to light heavyweight and relative unknown Seth Petrozelli to come up from the prelims and fight Kimbo. With Slice's popularity at an all-time high, the odds were stacked heavily against Petrozelli. However, that didn't stop him from coming out and knocking out Kimbo Slice in just 14 seconds. Controversy surfaced after the fight when it was revealed that Petrozelli might have been offered more money to keep the fight on the feet to avoid Slice's non-existent ground game. Upon hearing this news, UFC President Dana White, who had already said many times that Slice was overrated, went on a tear about Elite XC's business practices.
The idiot Gary Shaw actually does an interview with the LA Times. Okay, and he says that, we didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with paying a guy to stand up. We got no problem doing that. That's fucking illegal. They're being investigated by the Florida Athletic Commission. They ought to be investigated right now by the FBI too. They don't care about mixed martial arts. These jerk-offs are in it for the money. These guys want to come in, take a piece of the pie, and in it, they don't give a if they destroy the whole sport.
Ken and Frank Shamrock. For one reason or another, the Shamrock brothers have always had feuds with the UFC president for years now. Back in 2010, MMA was still yet to be legalized in the state of New York. Frank Shamrock blamed Dana White for the sport's ban on Ariel Helwani's MMA show. When Helwani asked White about this, he went on a tirade about the former UFC and Strikeforce champion.
Frank Shamrock is an irrelevant jackass, okay? He's a two-faced lion. Frank Shamrock, I bet he didn't say on your radio show that he flew out to my office a month ago, sat down with me and tried to make peace with me. Did he tell you that?
No.
That's weird. I wonder why he didn't tell that, because you're a two-faced lion chump. That's what you are, Frank Shamrock. You're not going to do anything to get anything. What have you done for mixed martial arts in the last 10 years? What have you done? You haven't done anything. You're just a liar and a guy who's trying to keep himself relevant.
Frank's adopted brother Ken was once at odds with the UFC president as well.
People in organizations like the UFC are putting $100,000 paintings on their wall instead of putting $100,000 in their fighter's pocket.
Ken unsuccessfully sued the company over his contract and allegedly owed White $175,000.
Let's not forget that Ken Shamrock tried to sue us. That he said that his contract, Ken Shamrock owes me $175,000. And I'm coming for it, Ken. I'm coming for the
money, you piece of
Ken and Dana buried the hatchet after a conversation in 2014, but White remains at odds with Ken's brother Frank. That just about wraps it up for our list of times Dana got furious. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button down below. There's a lot of content we can't fit into these videos, so be sure to comment anything you'd like to see in a future one. Special thanks to Lucas for editing the video and Eric for writing the script. Their links will be down in the description. See you guys.